And now we get some action in Splatoon. I'm Mr. Bepic, and I have a friend in the booth joining me for the Splatoon broadcast. Aslan is joining me. Aslan, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How have you been doing lately, Blake?
Fantastic. Got to watch some fun Mario Kart earlier, and Splatoon should be a lot of fun. We were both kind of learning a lot about the teams.
Hold on, going into it blind,
A little bit, I mean, Splatoon, it's one of those games that you play it and you are really into it, or you don't really touch it at all with Nintendo. Like, I have a Mario Kart, love Mario Kart, but Splatoon, I had to learn a lot about, but it's a really fun action-packed game.
Oh, for sure, especially as a person that is on a Mario Kart team. It is honestly just going through it and being like, whoa, because especially to any other game that we're streaming today, Mario Kart is slow compared to Splatoon, which is fast and action-packed, and you're constantly looking behind you whenever you can, and it is all up to how fast can you be compared to your opposition.
Absolutely. So, and learning about Splatoon, you really do see how fast-paced it is. Like, these are 5-minute game modes, and I'll take you through the format real fast for those of you unfamiliar. So this is a best of 5 between our two competitors. We have the James Clemens High School Skill Issue. I love that name. And the McGill-Tulane Catholic High School. Their team name is the Judd Plushie Fan Club. Hilarious. And this is a best of 5. We start off in Turf War, which is basically cover the map with as much ink as you possibly can. Once that timer runs out, and the team with the most ground covered is going to win. Like, 3-minute timer, that's how fast the first game of this best of 5 is.
And hold on, it's, as I said, it's a matter of how fast you can be, and it's especially trying to also paint the land that you are given, but also making sure that you possibly take out the enemies. Because taking them out means you definitely cover more land in the grand scheme of things.
It does help, because then your opponents aren't laying down ink as well to lessen your score. But we're looking right now, and at the moment, seems like our squad in yellow doing well to penetrate the defensive side. Our squad in blue, an early lead for them, but of course 2 minutes left on the timer. Knockout right there, and that'll help, like you said, get more ink down.
And hold on, as you just said, they had an early lead, but 3 minutes, any lead can go to anyone.
And we're learning as well about the loadouts of these teams. Like, there's a lot of strategy that goes into Splatoon. You want to have your tanks, you want to have your high movement and high damage players as well, trying to take out the other team while laying down a lot of ink at one time. And you see those loadouts at the top as the teams prepared themselves for this matchup, for this best of 5, because you win 3 maps here, and you will be crowned victorious in the AHSAA and Play versus Splatoon Championship. That's a prestigious title.
Oh, for sure. And I'd say, looking at the current comps that we're going, we got NZAP, Squelchers, and also Hydra. So trying to cover as much land as possible. Not quite exactly the most opposition, and you can't get a lot of splats with the guns, but it's about covering the area and being able to go up close range with said weapons to get those splats.
Which, we're seeing a lot of close range fighting right now in the middle of the map, where it looks honestly about dead even between our two teams. This first game is going to come down to the wire. With 45 seconds left, we do see some ink missiles come out to help paint a little bit more of the ground, but really, right now, it's about even, though our yellow side has claimed a lot of control of the middle of the map.
What's the matter? People already covered both of their spawns, so they got that main area down, and it depends on if the other team wants to venture into their spawn area. And even then, that comes with high risk, even possibly losing their own spawn, but it's a matter of painting until you get the time down.
Right now, 10 seconds left. Looks like blue covering the majority of the map. This is a big stretch to close out our first round of our Splatoon best of 5. Let's see what Judd has in store for us. Final score, blue wins.
McGill-Tulane takes the first 1 out of 5 match with our winners, Stealth, Sunset, Wemi, and Mika.
That's a big start for McGill-Tulane, the Judd Plushie Fan Club, going to take the first stage of of our Splatoon championship. So congratulations to them. They're starting off fast. It's important to get that momentum behind you early.
Oh, for sure. But then they're going into a game that mainly relies on getting those kills and more teamwork. As much as, covering the area is something that you should talk a lot about, this is definitely more teamwork based. And now people have to talk to each other way more than they did last round. And this is where we get a really good view to see if teams are up to par.
And Rainmaker is our second game mode in this best of 5, which is certainly more of a weapon-heavy game mode. I mean, the actual item you're trying to enter your enemy's base with is a weapon itself. It shoots a lot of ink at once, and you're able to do a lot of damage with it, opening up the door for a potential score on your opponent's base. So we'll move into that second game mode in a little bit, but I mean, you're very familiar with the McGill-Tulin Splatoon roster, Aslan, and getting that first win's big.
Oh yeah, for sure. And hold on, as I said, looking at what we saw last game, they seem pretty even matched. So honestly, this could go to anyone. It just depends on how well they can work together and how well they can put those weapons together, come out on top or not.
We're getting everyone together, making sure those loadouts are complete. As best of 5s, in Splatoon especially, very quick. I mean, you'd have to get to 3 mini-games or modes 1, which sounds like it takes a little bit, especially considering the fluctuation, the types of modes. But 3-minute, 5-minute stages, it's over in the blink of an eye.
And it feels insane how our players can possibly keep up with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, hold on, we're dealing with teams here. They've been practicing for months.
Yes.
So we get to finally see that in action, and it's exciting. We get to see just how much our team has prepared for this. Our teams have waited up until this moment.
They really have, and it's an 8-week season to get to this point, plus then playoffs that these two schools had to go through. I mean, the skill issue, the James Clemens team, they were the seed 4. They went 6-2 in the regular season. Going into playoffs, they then went on an impressive run. They only dropped 3 maps in their playoff run to get to this point. They upset the #1 overall seed, the undefeated Sploon roster, 8-0 going into the semifinals when James Clemens' skill issue took them down in 5. One of the closest matches of the season to get that upset win and make it to this point against the Judd Plushie fan club of McGill-Tulin, who also went 6-2 in the regular season, but they're the #2 seed overall. So we still got top of the line teams playing in the grand finals, so they know how to make adjustments and get prepared for this next game mode.
These two teams have gone against each other.
They have.
They have. So it all depends on teamwork and also how much they change themselves to better go against each other. Because the main thing about this, strategy is the best thing you can have for this situation.
I mean, it was a 3-1 in favor of James Clemens back in week 8. That was the last week of the regular season that these two teams played each other. So McGill-Tulin with the first win of this best of 5. Again, starting off on the right foot, already matching their stage win total of that previous matchup, and it's up to James Clemens now to respond here in Rainmaker.
Possibly bring that response.
We'll see. We'll see what they do. Getting into it now, we have our players up on stage. Make sure you're supporting them all throughout this best of 5. It's difficult to play up on a LAN stage, especially in high school. I mean, these are high school kids competing for their school in a state championship. And it's so cool what Play Versus and the AHSAA have put together for us.
Oh, for sure. And hold on, you know what? Even if one of these teams loses, which will happen, they will still be runner-up in the grand finals between everyone in Alabama. Is that right?
Everyone
all the teams
competing, yeah.
And that's already impressive. So no matter what, how this game goes, everyone leaving will bring impressive things back to their own school. And you know what? That's what they deserve, because they got this far in the first place.
It is an accomplishment to make it to LAN. I mean, I know everybody wants that first place representation to say I won the state championship, but it really is an accomplishment to just be able to travel to Montgomery today, get up on the Huntington esports stage and compete in one of your favorite games for a little bit with your friends that you're competing alongside. It is such a cool experience to watch these students get to compete in and to see collegiate, high school, just esports in general growing right in front of us. It is an exciting prospect.
For sure. And hold on, it's just seeing the journey of all of these teams
It
coming
is.
together, winning, losing, but also getting the nerves to come up on that stage, have their family in the bleachers watching them, or even people at home watching the stream today. And honestly, I think that is very admirable by itself. Trophy or not, these kids got some guts.
They certainly do have guts. And I think it's battle time. We're going to get into Rainmaker. Took us a second. But moving into our second mode, our second stage of this best of 5 grand finals. Right there, James Clemens and our map 1 winners, McGill Tulin. 5 minutes to enter your opponent's base, get through those checkpoints with the Rainmaker weapon in the middle of the stage. Our players setting up, tossing ink down on the floor to establish control of the middle of the map. And here we go.
Ooh, we got an early splat from James Clemens, stealth going down for count. Honestly, seems like they're focusing more on battling each other, instead of going for the main weapon. I'm looking at it.
That was a fast start already. The first checkpoint has been broken through. Getting off to the races quickly is James Clemens. They are trying to tie this series up, trying to recapture the tied status in this best of 5 on Rainmaker, and pretty quickly too. They've still got it. They're still using it to break into the McGill Tulin base, looking for that second checkpoint, but right now, well defended, though it's being covered in teal ink, and it hasn't been dumped. The Rainmaker's been dropped, and McGill Tulin has defended that second checkpoint.
Got a trade going down.
It is close. The Rainmaker picked back up, and that's game. I thought they defended that second checkpoint, but no. That is a lightning quick game of Rainmaker. James Clemens has knocked out McGill Tulin in the span of about a minute.
Goodness, take it down 5 minutes to just it's impressive teamwork, gameplay from James Clemens. Wow.
They obviously know that Rainmaker is a strength of theirs because they came in with so much confidence. I mean, you lose the first mode, you say, all right, got to regroup, got to tie the series up. We're down now in a grand finals. No one ever wants to be down in the grand finals. There's pressure that does come with that. But James Clemens stepped up in Rainmaker big time. You called it out. Several splats to open things up. They found that first checkpoint within 30 seconds and had the game over within the next 30 seconds.
As you were surprised by, despite the fact that the point was trying to constantly be protected by McGill Tulin, James Clemens still came up on top.
Yep.
And that impressed both of us equally.
I know. McGill Tulin did get the Rainmaker down for a second, but James Clemens just stepped right back up, claimed the Rainmaker again, and they were using it to get those splats, to gain territory in the Judd Plushie fan club base, and found that dunk to end Rainmaker, which will take us into Splat Zones, our third mode in the best of 5 at a tied state. And like we were talking about, the last time these two teams played each other, it was a 3-1 overall. It ended in tower control in favor of James Clemens, who now kind of have that momentum back on their side.
And hold on, what's the next mode, as you said?
Splat Zones is next.
Which is essentially the team has to splat a certain area. There's 2 on the map, as far as I know. And it's best to keep controlling the points, and as the countdown clicks down to 0, that's how you win the game.
Yep.
And it depends on how they balance between splatting the enemy team, but also having proper equipment to also cover area. So they can't focus on splatting the other team. They also have to, as I said, create that balance between covering the area and also covering the other team.
And that is the trade-off in loadouts. You have to think about those AoE weapons that you're bringing into Splat zones, because you have to have 70% of the zone covered to get control, and then you have to take it down to about 40% in order to force your opponent to lose control once they've claimed it. So it's important to be able to cover large amounts of ground at one time with Ink. So we'll see what the players do decide on bringing into Splat Zone. This is an important one. Really, it's the swing mode of this best of 5, because the winner of Splat Zones here will move to match point on LAN in the grand finals in the state championship.
Boy, I can feel the tension rising already.
It is. And I hope you're supporting the students up on stage. Give them a round of applause, of course. Support them as much as possible for what they're doing right now, because you called it, Aslan. The tensions do begin to rise right here. This is the business end of the best of 5. This is where you need to get that action going. You need to take control of the chaos and see what you can do amid it.
Both teams already heading out fast and quick. Who's gonna make it to the
Well, looks like James Clemens has gotten there first, trying to get control of the first Splat Zone here. There's only one on this map, center here, and they will start that ticking down. 100 ticks. Get yourself to 2 stages 1 in this best of 5 grand finals, and that is a fast start. Right here, looking to claim control back.
That's not James Clemens with the point. That's McGill Tulin.
Okay, a fast start for them. They're trying to get back in the lead. The color's switching up on us. McGill Tulin with early control, and they're already halfway to winning Splat Zones. They have not relinquished control at all yet. They're finding splats. They're maintaining full control of this zone, and with 35 ticks left to go, they're really close to making it about a minute and a half of Splat Zones.
Tento missiles is being put out to the battlefield, covering as much area as possible. But will that get James?
It does.
Oh!
That has lost control. McGill Tulin, they lost control for a moment. Looks like James Clemens will gain it for themselves. 17 tick marks, though, in between McGill Tulin and victory. James Clemens now doing damage to their own marker. They got it down to 74, but now it's McGill Tulin's turn. They're fighting from the middle of the zone. That's a big splat right there. Once again, James Clemens, though, have control of the zone. And being reclaimed, McGill Tulin, 17 tick marks left. They do have to go through that penalty, though, because they did lose the zone. You see that 50 number underneath their total. They have to break that penalty down, and before they can start hitting into well, what was in the teens, now 52 tick marks for them.
Oh, I'm almost nearly getting a member of McGill Tulin, but just nearly avoided it. Ooh.
Still in the teens for McGill Tulin. James Clemens at 52, but both teams have penalties to work through. That's the benefit of being able to take back the zone from your opponents, as we are seeing control flipping back and forth. It feels like both teams have settled into a bit of a rhythm now, as we really take those penalties into account and even standing.
McGill Tulin getting back the point, but still, that 52 tick penalty.
They were able to, well, break down that score from 100 down to 17 earlier. That was a lot of ground gained in one stretch, but unable to do it here. James Clemens able to use that bucket to control the entirety of the zone. They nearly worked that penalty all the way down, but they lose control. Fighting over the middle of the zone here. It's a big, big splat to put control back in James Clemens' favor.
Ooh, that penalty. Oh, those penalty ticks are sure going down fast for James Clemens.
Yeah, it's gone now, and James Clemens sub 50. But McGill Tulin, now they're going to work on their penalty as they get the high ground and they claim the zone back. 40 on the penalty, 17 beyond that. So it is imperative that James Clemens does not let them work through this penalty. They have to get the zone back under their control quickly.
James Clemens vendors pulling out coolers, getting that higher attack damage, going behind the lines of McGill Tulin and taking them out one by one, slowly and steadily taking away all the enemies they have to get through.
That was a great, well-executed reclaim of the zone from the buckets to get it back under their control, and that penalty nearly gone. The splat there on the edge of that center zone. And the penalty for James Clemens is gone. They'll start working on what is now down to just 40 tick marks between them and a 2-1 lead with McGill Tulin at 17 tick marks plus that 42 penalty. And it looks like full control right now for James Clemens. They're so close to winning this one. They've got the high ground. McGill Tulin so far away. They've taken the lead with 40 seconds left. Final 10 ticks for James Clemens. They're right there. There's not a McGill Tulin player in sight. James Clemens takes it.
High lead for McGill Tulin, and it just... Wow. James Clemens ends up taking the lead once again, giving them the almost nearly the match point. So, honestly, next round dictates.
It does. Tower control is next as well. So, we'll see what team is better at that game mode, but James Clemens, the come from behind, they've now won 2 modes in a row, and not just to come behind there in terms of the overall best of 5, but to come from behind in splat zones as they had their opponent down to 17 tick marks before they came back and worked theirs all the way down to 0.
It's just impressive how this game can go from 0 to 100 so quickly.
Yeah, or 100 to 0.
100 to... But just the way and the speed of this game and how even such a high lead of getting 100 down to 17, James Clemens still took the win, and it took everything they had. And it was just going behind backlines and bucket and rushes, taking down directly the enemy team and getting enough splats to get them that point and take down that penalty.
It was the splats, and it was the high ground as well, as James Clemens found control of that tower near the center of the stage, and they were able to just toss paint down on that zone to keep it under their control and whittle that ticker down to 0. And that's going to be important here as well, because tower control, I mean, obviously tower's in the name of it. You know there's going to be a high point to control here. You have to work the tower that starts in the middle of the stage all the way into the back of your opponent's base by splatting them, by making sure you have ink laid down in their base to set yourself up to move that tower into your opponent's base. There's a lot of strategy here. Very, very important. 4th mode here, because now James Clemens 1 away from a state championship. McGill Tulin, they need this tower control victory.
Only time will tell if they
Yep.
Still.
And it takes a while. It was a grind in Splat Zone. I mean, we saw the back and forth trading of control of the center of the map in that last mode until eventually James Clemens was able to keep it for the remainder of the game. And here, it's going to be a grind to get that tower all the way through the zones.
The main thing that I saw is that enemies from James Clemens were hiding behind the entire team. Hiding behind that point just so their other team could come out of spawn and come give them backup. And you know what? When McGill Tulin was distracted by the other 3, the bucket came back in their backlines, slowly taking all the support that McGill Tulin had. That's the main thing. They aren't looking in the backlines, which caused them to lose that.
They have to change that here, because that's a strategy that James Clemens could employ. Penetrate the backline, the spawn area of McGill Tulin, and try and take them out from behind, get extra control in front of the tower, as opposed to just riding along with the tower and getting control as it moves along. Setting yourself up for success here in tower control is the name of the game. Clam Blitz would be our final deciding game mode if McGill Tulin's able to take this one, but I don't think James Clemens is too keen on letting us get that far in this best of 5.
Tell Blake. I will tell.
Well, we're getting the players ready in the lobby. Got them ready up on stage. And we'll get them in here. That pressure just beginning to rise. The applause, I'm sure, helping with that. I know if I was competing on the stage, hearing that the support of your inner support group, your inner circle that helps you along the way, I mean, that's got to relinquish a little bit of that pressure, right?
Oh, hold on. I feel like it's a 50-50 shot.
Yeah?
Yeah, because, hold on. As the support does help, if you're stressed and stuff, it also creates tension. And also makes the person feel, I have a person to win for.
So I guess it depends on the player a little bit.
Exactly. depends on how the person takes it and how the person is. Because, as I said, positive reinforcement can be a really positive thing, or it can make the person more nervous long term. It just depends on how they take it and how they're feeling right now. Because more tension tends to lead to even more nervous.
Absolutely. We'll see how the players battle the nerves as we enter tower control. In the teal, we've got James Clemens, and in the pink, we've got McGill Tulin. 5 minutes up on that clock to see if we get Clam Blitz, or if this grand finals stops here in stage number 4 of this best of 5. Here we go again.
So tower defense, team's main objective is to cover the tower completely and stay on it. They have to take it to checkpoints, various checkpoints. It stops there. It is, and as you see at the top of the screen, we have ticks again. Ticks will always remain at that number and will go quickly through checkpoints if you get down those ticks and go on the tower again.
And a great demonstration there by James Clemens, getting us to that first tick, or that first checkpoint. The ticker down to 80, but they lost control there for a second. We saw the tower beginning to move back to the middle of the stage, so that's the defense part. That's why you have to have ink up in front of the tower's path. Otherwise, you're going to lose control and lose all of that progress. But James Clemens is already at checkpoint number 2. They are deep in the base of McGill Tulin.
And on to the third checkpoint. 43 ticks remaining.
Moving rapidly towards the end of our grand finals as checkpoint 3 has been hit by James Clemens. That is the final checkpoint. McGill Tulin has taken the tower back. It's going to move to the middle of the stage. Can they get anything on their tick mark? They've got themselves set up well. Look at all that pink ink out in front.
Oh, also covering James Clemens' original spawn area, giving them more momentum on their side too.
That's the first checkpoint hit for McGill Tulin, trying to reach that same 30 tick mark point that James Clemens was able to hit earlier. At least get the game to a tied state. See if they can force an overtime if this thing does go the distance. That's a good splat there out in front of the tower. Looking for a second one. That's Remy and McStealth up in front, finding splats on James Clemens players. And that's through our second checkpoint, almost to the third. The tower does slow for a moment, but they're at checkpoint 3.
Ooh, and that's a full wipeout from James Clemens.
But look at that, 29 ticks to go versus James Clemens 30. So that means McGill Tulin, if that timer does end up getting to 0 without any teams changing their tick marker status, then McGill Tulin will have the victory once they're able to clear out overtime, take the tower control back in their favor. So that's an important advantage to have if they're able to defend this tower now advancing back into their territory.
Another wipeout.
And that wipeout is going to be big because you have to wait for the respawns. You have to start all the way back in your spawn area and give James Clemens access now to checkpoint 3 once again. But McGill Tulin has defended the tower again. It's moving back towards the middle of the map.
James Clemens and their backlines slowly taking out their people just like they did last round.
Those wipeouts, though, have tended to favor James Clemens. They'll claim control of the tower again at the center point of the map, but Vivi finding a splat there, defending the tower for a second, though. McGill Tulin finding access to it again.
Crab tank going up and ult.
Use that crab tank to gain territory.
Slowly taking out people one by one again.
That tower still under McGill Tulin control. A splat there, though, by James Clemens, but I think it was a trade. So tower going to be controlled by McGill Tulin. They make it to checkpoint number 3 before James Clemens claimed control again as the tower creeps back towards the middle of the map. Minute 10 left. This thing really going down to the wire as that advantage, that one tick advantage that McGill Tulin has is becoming ever more important as we get close to the end of this game mode. James Clemens needs to get that tower into pink territory. They need to find that third checkpoint again and then just creep at least a little bit further into McGill Tulin territory as 45 seconds remain on this clock.
Honestly, as we're looking, people are throwing out ults left and right. We got a Booyah Bomb and a Cooler, increasing attack and defense. James Clemens even pulling another Booyah out on the point. Will they get that extra tick down?
That's a couple of splats for McGill Tool, and they take the tower back. That's important with 20 seconds left, because if they have control, when that timer hits 0, they win without having to get to overtime, and they will force a visit to Clam Blitz in Game 5. Tower still under their control. James Clemens needs a wipeout here. They need control. Otherwise, McGill Tool takes it. They do. We're going to Clam Blitz.
Tulin takes it just by 1 point. That 29 they got on their very first push ended up getting them win in the very end. Clock ticking down, getting them official victory, going down to Clan Blitz. I think that's one of the closest games we've had today.
Absolutely. I mean, Mario Kart was a sweep in the first esport of the day. Now Splatoon going the distance. We're going to our 5th and final stage to determine who the state champion of the state of Alabama is with Splatoon. Unbelievable we've made it this far.
My goodness, I'm not even down on the stage, Blake, and I'm feeling the tension from here. My heart is racing.
I know, I mean, that 1 tick difference in tower control, that gets you excited. I mean, it went down to 0 seconds to determine that winner. That was incredible.
You know what? As much as I love playing the video games, you know, watching them is an experience by itself. And honestly, knowing that these teams are competing and putting their best efforts forth to bring forth possibly a trophy to their home school makes it even more exciting.
There is a lot on the line. It's crazy that 1 5-minute game of Splatoon can mean so much to these students. The difference between first place and second place, all decided by a game of Clam Blitz. And I mean, it's gone back and forth. We saw McGill Toolin take the first mode with Turf Wars, and then James Clemens, they take Rainmaker, they take Splat Zones. They start off so well on tower control. We think, okay, this might be it, but McGill Toolin storms back, gets that 1 tick mark lead, and then forces Clam Blitz, where those fast starts, they may not be as important as we might have been thinking, because the come from behind victories today have been crazy.
Oh, for sure. And hold on, I feel like McGill Toolin getting smarter about looking at their backlines now.
Yeah.
Because as much as that is a valid strat from James Clemens, McGill Toolin at some point has to be like, we're losing people in the back. And now they're finally turning around and also splatting the enemies too.
Yeah, even though James Clemens had several wipeouts in that last game of tower control, McGill Toolin did so well defending in between that 2nd and 3rd checkpoint and getting the tower reset back to the middle of the stage. But here we go, the final game mode of the AHSAA and Play versus Fall Championships in Splatoon. It's Clam Blitz, it's McGill Toolin, it's James Clemens. 1 game to determine your state champion. Oh, the pressure is mounting.
James Clemens sticking more together as a team, and McGill Toolin going a linear path. Main thing about this game mode, you have to collect a lot of clams.
Yep.
And then bring it forth to a center and get a football.
Yeah, you get 8 clams, not clowns.
Clowns.
And you get the power clam, which you need to break open your opponent's basket in the back of their base. And once that basket is broken open, you toss as many clams as possible in there. A clam is worth 3 tick marks on that scoreboard, and a power clam is worth 20. Again, similar theme here to the last couple mini games. You have to get your opponent's ticker down to 0, and then you are the state champion.
Oh, very important thing to note. Blue, James Clemens. Yellow, McGill Toolin.
It's switched up a lot on us, so I'm glad they've gotten that out of the way very early on. And even with the color switching back, we don't really have a team in any kind of advantageous position. There's a power clam on the James Clemens side, but haven't been able to penetrate that McGill Toolin base just yet. We're just fighting over clams in the middle of the map. The minute come and gone. Teams retooling, playing with one another, trying to claim those clams. It's a great splat as the power clam has been dropped by James Clemens, and another one has been dropped. They were stacking clams, but those big splats from McGill Toolin lose the power clams.
being crab tanked is definitely an easy way to lose the power clean. McGill Tulin themselves is pulling out a lot of ults, getting those splats, getting those clams. Yet, no team's basket.
Nope. Not even really the team's areas. Like, there's just been a lot of fighting at the middle point of the stage, and other than that, we really haven't seen much action elsewhere on the stage. I mean, 2 minutes in, we're still 100 to 100. It's unbelievable right now how close these two teams are, but the barrier's been broken. Is that McGill Tulin's basket is under siege right now as James Clemens has gotten their ticker down to 68.
Oh my goodness. And they were stacking those clams so high that they already had so many to throw right into the basket of McGill Tulin. Main thing is, they finally broke through that battle in the middle. Will McGill Tulin be able to do the same?
Despite dropping those 2 power clams, they respawned, James Clemens did, and they immediately hit hard. McGill Tulin was forced backwards thanks to a couple of James Clemens splats, and they'll lose half of that basket's health. The barrier does close, however, now an opportunity for McGill Tulin to counterattack if they're able to break through this James Clemens front line.
McGill Tulin team member is trying to bring a master clam into the basket area. But McGill Tulin's barrier has been broken yet again.
That barrier does stay open for 10 seconds, and it looks like McGill Tulin's going to be able to defend it for that length this time around. That penalty was broken into. You can see it's 13 now, below the 53 of James Clemens. But McGill Tulin, they don't lose any actual health of their basket there. Ultra Stamp trying to clear a little bit of room for McGill Tulin to work with, but the wielder splatted there. It does allow a little bit of advancement, but James Clemens finding these big-time splats.
Hey, even big-time splats on James Clemens' side, McGill Tulin is still coming back from their spawn, immediately getting back those splats, almost making both teams equal the number of splats that they got. The main issue with McGill Tulin, as much as they can compared to the amount of splats the enemy team has, they have yet to break open James Clemens' barrier. And honestly, that's the name of the game. Have to get there.
Gotta get there quick, too, with only 60 seconds left in Mode 5 of our state championship. You saw it on the screen. James Clemens has a sizable lead with just 50 seconds on the clock. They are on the doorstep of victory. They just have to walk inside. McGill Tulin, if they can mount a crazy counterattack here, maybe there's something to be said about an overtime push. But right now, losing clams left and right. Another splat right there by a James Clemens rep. With 30 seconds left, they still have control of the middle of the stage. They're playing defensive as well. They're sitting back. They know they don't need to break open the basket of McGill Tulin again, but that may cost them. That passive activity has cost them a little bit of their barrier's health. It's 20 down. McGill Tulin has one last push in store for us. They have to keep that barrier open, though. They do. It almost closed. 74 ticks. They need to get it at least to 46.
Overtime.
As overtime, we get to overtime, but James Clemens is able to stave off that push, and they are your state champions.
My goodness.
That was close. James Clemens, though, off the back of an early surge into the McGill Tulin's base, is able to claim Clam Blitz, and they are your victors. Congratulations.
Everyone get a round of applause to the finale winners, James Clemens.
So they win in Mario Kart. They win in Splatoon 2-0 to start off our Play versus an AHSAA championships. Very exciting. And I believe we're going to have awards distributed on the stage in a little bit. So if you're watching online, we're going to end the stream for now, but we'll be back with Super Smash Bros. In just a little bit. But if you're in-house, tune into the stage.